Okay, everyone. So we're live now over YouTube already. So as of now, whatever you say or do will be on YouTube as well, just so you're aware. Okay, so welcome everyone. We're gonna start the event for today. Welcome everyone for joining the Digital Food Technician 2020. If you see me looking somewhere else, I'm currently also helping some people who are emailing me to get into the session. Welcome everyone. It's gonna be a very cool afternoon with very cool speakers that I'm gonna tell you more about very soon. But I'd first like to give the floor to Her Excellency Margriet Vonno-Ambassador of the Netherlands and Singapore, to open the Digital Food Technician 2020.
Thank you, Robin. It's really a pleasure to be here online and talk about food. That's one of my favorite things in Singapore, which is a nation of people that really enjoy their food, love their food, and are willing and able to be very innovative about food. I hail from the Netherlands, a country which is the second largest exporter of agricultural products. We've been there for a long time, second best, but the first country, the US, is a little bit bigger than the Netherlands. So I'm very proud of what we've done with our limited surface. And I think we are in a position to help Singaporeans reach the 2030 30% goal, which is by 2030 produce 30% of the food in Singapore itself. And why can we help and be part of that environment? Because like Singapore, we are innovative and we are open to startups and working together. I personally have been able to taste a lot of food. I know that most of the protein comes from meat nowadays, but that we're heading towards the next phase where there's alternative proteins from greens, from oyster mushrooms. I've tasted meat that was built cell by cell and actually tastes quite normal. And I've also tasted products by DSM or Meal-Unie who give a little bit of extra flavor to artificial protein, and it tastes, you could fool me in blind tasting. So I hope to continue doing that part of my job as an ambassador, tasting a lot of good food, enjoying it, talking about my next luncheon, during luncheon, which is some of the stuff that I've really appreciated doing in Singapore. But I'm also very proud to see that we have those innovative startups from the Netherlands reaching out to us here in Singapore and in Asia. I'm really looking forward to the presentations about the developments here in Asia, because the consumers here are pretty cool, open to new innovations, willing to pay up for extra new stuff. And that makes that our local environment is really enticing, not just for health reasons, but also for the fun of foods. And I hope that this will be part of our webinar as well, that we have fun together, that we enjoy talking about food and probably have a nice meal afterwards. Although we're in different time zones, it will be different meals. But I never tire of good food, and it helps me to keep going also in this time when we're inside our home, having webinars, and it's great to see so many of my fellow speakers already here now online and to feel so many interesting people joining this webinar. And I hope to see you in person next year in Singapore, in the Netherlands, or somewhere else in Southeast Asia, and discuss food over a plate of food. But for now, I'm quite happy that I'm allowed to discuss this food and all the innovations that are happening with you all here. You all look healthy, which is a good sign to start with. And I'm really looking forward to learning more about what's happening in your companies, what we can do together. And I hope to sample a lot of your products in the future. I'm a diplomat, so I'm open to whatever comes around. I've tasted insects, spiders, whatever. Durian, which is my husband's favorite, by the way, and that's a staple food in our house nowadays. But maybe I can find a new staple food from one of your companies. And I can't wait to be part of that new innovative way of thinking in the food business. That's it from me for now. I'm luckily not alone at the embassy. I have Gabby van Herp, my regional startup liaison officer, Sabine Poelman, my agricultural officer, who know way more than I do. So as a team, we're ready for you to help you out from the embassy side. And I would like to thank Robin for organizing this great event. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Margriet, for opening this event and for making the time to be here and join. I'm going to ask your husband about the durians because I'm still trying to figure out what the good ones are and what not. With that, I've had a lot of questions about what we're going to do today. So let me first show you what the program is going to be for this afternoon and evening, depending on where you are. The program looks as follows. We have a lot of very good speakers today from different companies, different organizations here in the region, in Singapore, that know everything there is to know about food technology, innovation in this region, how regulation works. We have IPI, which is the patent organization here in Singapore. And on top of that, of course, we have 10 different startups from the Netherlands that are all going to pitch what they do as a company. And I can tell you it's extremely interesting. I've seen their pitches a couple of weeks back. I learned a lot about stuff that I didn't know was actually existing. Like Margriet already said, there's a lot of developments in this area. I haven't been fortunate enough yet to eat one of those grown burgers, but maybe sometime soon. The program runs from now till about 6:15 Singapore time. That's 7 hours earlier in the Netherlands. After that, we have the investor speed dating. Some of you might have signed up for that. I know there is more investors here attending the session right now. If you are an investor and you want to talk to the investors, to the startups from the Netherlands that are joining this mission, then make sure to sign up right now. You can scan the QR code here, or you can go to the event website on the Startup Buddy and register there. My team will screen your applications, and if you are a good fit for the companies that are joining, they will make sure that you get the login details for that. Margriet was a little bit in front of me already, but we haven't done this by ourselves. It started off with Gabby, I think, in July this year that we started discussing doing this mission, and later on I met Sabine and we continued setting this up. Thank you very much for making this possible and helping us finding all the speakers and putting this event together with us. And of course, I'm not the only one actually helping all of you. Some of you might already have noticed that there's people on the chat answering questions and stuff. That's my team. I've not actually introduced myself. I'm the founder of the Startup Buddy. So you will basically have to look at me all the time because I'm facilitating today. But my team will be online all the time via the chat, via WhatsApp, via email, whatever way is best for you to help you if you have any connectivity issues or other questions. A quick short note about what we actually do, because I had questions last week. Are you an event organizer? No, we are actually not. The Startup Buddy is a Singapore-based company, and we call ourselves a startup building and fundraising platform. In the past 2.5 years, we've built an online accelerator. We now have around 2,000 founders across the world in 75 countries learning how to build businesses from scratch, new entrepreneurs figuring out how to do marketing, legal work, hiring, etc. And once they get to the stage of fundraising, then we help them to connect to investors. So we also have around 800 investors in Southeast Asia, Europe, and the US in our network that we connect founders to so that they can raise funding. We're going to do that later today as well during the speed dating. And speed dating is something we do with founders almost every month. So that's our regular business, but we can run events as well, as we're going to show today. Now, before we go to the first speakers, I have a quick question for the audience. So I'll open up a poll. We'll be doing this every now and then between the pitches and the speakers. So the speakers and the pitchers have time to get their slides ready on their screen and things like that. The first question that we have for today, and I'm going to share the results, so don't be shy. What is the main reason for you to shift to alternative proteins? And Cristina and Mary, maybe you can already make sure that you have your slides ready. Okay, I think we're at a result. I like to live sustainably. Well, it's not really a surprise. I was thinking there would be more people at option number 1. Maybe all of the pitchers later today can go into this answer and tell their views on why they started the business and if this is one of the core reasons. With that, I think Mary and Cristina should be ready to do their presentation. Mary Lau is a managing partner for Kantar, a global consulting company, also active here in Singapore, but also across the world. I saw on her profile that she's been globetrotting everywhere, so she knows also a lot about other places, maybe also about how food technology is there. Cristina has been very active in the food sector, especially in the Netherlands before. She's worked for famous brands like Heineken, Procter & Gamble, companies that are born in a tiny country in Europe, but are known across the world. So I'm 100% sure this is going to be very interesting. The floor is for Mary and Cristina.
Great, thank you, Robin. Let me share my screen. Great. Good morning. We're very excited to share today about the unique culture and food trends across Southeast Asia, bringing to life a little bit the consumer behaviors and the life, day-to-day life here in Southeast Asia for you this morning. Thank you, Robin, for the introduction. I'm Mary, and I do lead the consulting business in Kantar for the region and love helping clients grow their footprint and brand through a deep understanding of consumers and culture. I'm joined by Cristina, our retail sales and shopper expert, helping brands do market entry and grow in the region. So let's get started. Southeast Asia is one of the world's fastest growing regions. Not only is it large in population, but its growth in GDP over the years has been exponential. Although we have all experienced economic slowdown and uncertainty in this past year, Southeast Asia is predicted to have 8% GDP growth in 2021 by the World Economic Forum, who has termed it Asia's multi-speed recovery, which means that although we can predict growth across the region, we cannot treat the entire region the same. So specific countries within the region will experience faster growth than others. The region is extremely diverse and there are many pockets of opportunities to tap into. The diversity across the region is most definitely united by a strong relationship to food. In this side of the world, food goes beyond the functional aspects. It is ingrained emotionally into our social lives and our communities. It serves as a strong bonding agent with family and friends. Asia is most famous for its love language, which is, "Have you eaten yet?" Which for those with Asian upbringing all know this to mean, "I love you and care about you." As you can see from the images here, it does range from home-cooked food to street food. And across the region, we do have the largest congregation of street food stalls in the world, which is a big part of the culture and daily lives of the consumers. And over the years, it has become so popular that street food has received Michelin star awards. The image you see on the right-hand side is the Michelin street food for soy sauce chicken rice that won a star in 2016, the first street food establishment to be recognized in this way and to really put Singapore on the map. With food and beverage embedded so tightly in our culture, sometimes it's easy to take a broad stroke to the experience and consumer behaviors behind it. What we've found in working with brands is that to successfully unlock growth, it is imperative to understand some of the deeper layers that are truly driving choice, behavior change, and what consumers are looking for in the future. These trends you see in front of you of health and wellness, convenience, sustainability, should not surprise anyone. The power really is in translating these to understand how they manifest across the region and across various markets, because they do have an impact on product and consumer choice. These three trends then eventually come together to underpin rich opportunity platforms for us to explore. Health and wellness in Asia has shifted to be something truly in the forefront in recent years. And as Asia's GDP continues to grow through the years, the focus has shifted from physical needs and food hygiene to what value add food can give each individual and the emotional benefits it carries along with physical health benefits. In short, in the health and wellness space, what we've seen in the past several years is a huge shift to consumers demanding much more control and having a heightened awareness of the choices that they are making. This has resulted in a lot of initiatives that are put in place both bottom up and also top down from the government as urbanization increases, leading to the rise of lifestyle diseases as well. One key area here that's interesting to highlight is around weight management, which is very unique in this side of the world, because it both addresses obesity, but also undernutrition. Countries have imposed a government taxation on sugar, which in turn is pushing corporations to reformulate product as well as pricing strategy in quite fundamental ways. Consumer figures that you see on the right-hand side for seeking out value-added functional foods to improve their well-being are very high across the region, especially with the Philippines rating this at 93%. The second one we wanted to cover was convenience. And convenience in Southeast Asia has definitely shifted from a nice to have to a must have, especially when it comes to food and beverage. Compared to Western markets, restaurants have much longer hours. Majority of small shops or convenience stores are open very late at night or have 24 hours access for anyone to come in at any time. And the mindset of food on the go for Asian consumers are very, very different. With urbanization and increased stress, consumers have very high expectations of convenience and taste and the experience. For them, it is not a trade-off or a compromise across the three. This goes all the way down to details like how the food is packaged, the operations, and the delivery user experience that does not compromise on taste. It sounds like an impossible ask to have all of those things bundled in one, but many companies are stepping up to the challenge, which has opened up a host of new business models emerging across the region. E-commerce is a booming channel estimated to be channeling around $254 billion worth of food and beverages in the next 3 years. 70% of live stream purchases in Singapore are food related. My favorite example of this is with traditional seafood sellers, with the stand in the street and selling fresh produce and fresh fish. They now live stream their products. They can hold up the fish that they caught in the morning. They can talk about how the experience was, whether it was a good morning or not. People can ask on the live stream how long the fish is, how heavy the fish is, ask questions like what's the best way to cook it, and have this interactive conversation and dialogue as if they were at the market themselves. As they're discussing through the live stream, they can also agree on the price, pay through the app, and then have it delivered to their house. It really showcases the potential of what a B2C model can look like, and for consumers, it signals the ultimate freshness from the source direct to you. It's very transparent. They can see that they're supporting the local community. And it's also very convenient because they've done all of this from the comfort of their couch. This opportunity varies by market and by category. It is also utilized by big brands like Lazada and Tmall in China, encouraging sellers to interact directly with prospective buyers. So there are various models of this live stream purchase, but it is something that is gaining a lot of traction across the region. The last example we wanted to talk about on this slide are the cloud kitchen startups. These are small kitchen hubs that are built around the city where different food and beverage companies can share to prepare their food from. This ensures freshness, closer proximity for delivery, as well as lower shared costs for physical space to do so. It is truly streamlining the delivery and convenience of how we get our food faster to consumers without compromising the quality of the taste nor the experience, while making it commercially viable for logistics companies and food and beverage companies. And of course, sustainability. Although this topic is new to the region, what we have seen is an increasing awareness and relevance from a consumer perspective that this is no longer a very big idea or a nice idea that's hard to imagine. With the way that they experience pollution and the forest fires in the region that have directly impacted their day-to-day lives, this has become a very real issue that consumers care a lot about, and specifically they are looking to brands for the answer. And of course, we all know that sustainability is definitely not in conflict with commerciality and that it does truly drive long-term value and business viability. Consumers are not expecting a simple message, but how a brand behaves across the entire supply chain. So not only are they just looking at the end product and the amount of packaging that's used, for example, but especially in the food and beverage space, consumers are growing in their understanding of how food is being grown, what is used to feed chicken, for example, or the land or the soil that the vegetables are grown on. And though this is emerging, there is a growing awareness of biodiversity and sustainability throughout the entire supply chain, especially the idea of regenerative agriculture. And most certainly, consumers are taking this newfound awareness, they're placing higher importance on it and translating that to what they want to purchase. And as we bring the three together, there are lots of rich opportunities for us to explore. And for our time today, we will touch on one, which is alternative proteins. And this is an opportunity platform that we have seen growing in the region, with brands and companies responding by launching food and beverage products in this space. So as consumers are growing across these three trends, the rise of alternative proteins have emerged along with it. It has manifested itself in many various ways across the food and beverage industry. Within Singapore alone, 32% of consumers are looking to limit their meat intake most or all of the time. So a few examples from the region for sharing today. Growthwell is a Singapore plant-based food company that will launch a new alternative seafood line in collaboration with an Israeli startup, Chickpea, essentially utilizing the richness of chickpea protein for seafood alternatives. Backyard is a fine dining restaurant in Thailand. If you look closely in the photo in the middle, its aim is to bring insects into food for people to feel, eat, and taste, to open up their minds to the consumption of insects as an alternative protein source. And Turtle Tree Labs on the right-hand side recently won an award for their cultured milk. It utilizes cell-based technology, does not involve animals, and definitely proven to be much more sustainable for the environment. Especially with COVID-19 this year, it has set up this region to be ready for change. It has highlighted issues with the current system in which our food and beverages are produced, as well as what consumers should be looking for to consume for their own health and well-being. It is definitely a time of change and pivot for both businesses and consumers, and definitely a really great time for opportunity in the midst of change. We love this topic. There are so many exciting changes in the food and beverage industry across Asia. Cristina, who is passionate about market entry and affinity with helping our clients succeed, will share a little bit on how we love to help in any way that we can.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Mary. So, like Mary already portrayed, so Asia is a growing opportunity. It's so diverse. So we see all the different market shapes, consumers' behaviors, and of course the way that that our shoppers manifest. So within these opportunities, sometimes it can be really helpful to have guidance. Guidance throughout your market entry, and whether that is really understanding your market landscape, understanding your consumers, your shoppers. We always help companies to dig deeper into that and make sure that they understand what their opportunities are. Another area where we help companies is, really prioritizing those opportunities. So of course we have a lot of those, but what would be the most important ones? And what should you be then focusing on? Once we tailor that down together with our clients, we can start thinking together with you about your market entry strategy. So what should your go-to-market look like? What are competitors doing? And what should you be doing? What should you be thinking about when it comes to developing your product, flavor, but also packaging, your claims, and how you would like to go to market? And then the final step that we have identified is, of course, once you have all that, how do you engage with retailers, for example, right? Or distributors. So what is it that you would need to understand in order to really bring your product to market? And how do you partner with those retailers in order to make sure that you have a competitive advantage that speaks to your consumer in a meaningful way? So these are just a couple of opportunity areas where, we are very open to have a conversation with you about. Just briefly, something about Kantar. So we are based in Singapore, and from our Singapore office, we look after the Southeast Asian market. So today you've had the opportunity to meet Mary and myself, and like Margriet already mentioned, we hope that in the future it will be possible for us to have a cup of coffee, discuss your possibilities, and support you in a successful market entry, whether this is Singapore or somewhere else in the region. This was it for our part of the presentation. We really thank you for your time, and we want to wish you a very successful and fruitful rest of the meeting.
Thank you very much, Cristina and Mary, for this really interesting talk. While I'm finding my correct slides again, I'm gonna introduce the companies that are gonna pitch today. So we're gonna have 5 different startups that will be pitching this afternoon. We'll be doing that in blocks of every time 5 minutes. Of 5 companies. The first ones are here on screen, and this is also the order you're gonna see them. So we will first have Beefy Green, presented by Frank Nouwens, then Meatable by Krijn de Nood-CEO, Protifarm by Tom Mohrmann, and then Bone or Peasy by Kim. And finally, this round, Mohammed, which will be a video pitch with Tim van der Rijt. I will introduce them very briefly every time. All the companies have 7 minutes to pitch. In case there is a little bit time left, I will try to squeeze in a few of your questions that you might have to the people that are presenting. So in case you have any questions, please put them on the Q&A. and then I will try to pick them up if there's time for it. If there's not time for it, the speakers and also the pictures are live here on the session. So then just direct your question directly to them, what you like to know, and get more information from them that way. So with that, I like to go to the first pitch by Frank Nouwens. So Frank Nouwens is from Beefy Green, and he's gonna explain what mushrooms and meat have in common. Frank, the floor is yours.
Hi, Robin. Good morning.
Good morning.
Let me share my screen. Is it visible?
Yes.
Oh, super. Then. My name is Frank Nouwens, and I'm the owner of Beefy Green. And we make products with mushrooms, mainly the oyster mushroom. So I have a small presentation and a small video, and I'm sure I can stay within the 7 minutes. So Beefy Green, it is a partnership between oyster mushroom growers. We have some food technologists, and we closely work with the food industry to develop new, innovative, and tasty food products based on mushrooms. So we process these oyster mushrooms for the food industry, and together with our food industry partners, they make the consumer products. So in everything what we do, we try to do it with mushrooms, and of course to make meat a little bit cheaper and to make vegetarian, vegan products a little bit better. So what we are looking for is food processors to use the oyster mushroom, our oyster mushroom products in their recipe and food distribution networks. And I want to show you a small movie about Beefy Green.
Frank, you need to share with audio. When you share, there's an option to switch on audio at the bottom. Maybe you have to reshare again.
Oh, the wrong button.
Click share again at the bottom. And
Yeah.
then when you get the different options, there is a box which says share audio.
That is not here.
Okay, then turn the audio really loud. Maybe it works.
Now? Also not working?
No, I'm sorry.
Okay, then I will put the volume really loud. Let's hope it works. But tell me, otherwise we skip the video.
Oh, it doesn't work.
You can read the subtitles.
We don't actually see your video. You need to share the screen via a different screen also. Oh, yeah, now we see it.
Yeah?
Yeah. Frank, it's really hard to follow, so I think it's better to continue to the rest.
Then we skip this presentation, so
Yeah.
sorry for that. So what we have is this oyster mushroom. Country of origin is mainly Netherlands, Belgium, and Germany. We have this. Everything is certified, so farmers have the global GAP, and we have the FSI certification. And we mostly work with the bottom part of the oyster mushroom, which is the most beefy part to imitate actual meat. So we have a blend meat concept, so where we supply the mushrooms and then mix it up with animal meat, and this can be lots of products like, of course, hamburgers, meatballs. But what we do is to try to get the same mouth feeling so that you do not taste any difference with the actual beef meat product. So it's better for taste, better for health, and of course then better for sustainability. And above all, we have a big influence then on the sales price of the meat product. So next to the mix between meat and mushrooms, we also produce this vegetarian and vegan products. Mainly we produce the semi-finished products, and our customers or partner is producing the consumer product. Products are, of course, then also like the hamburger and the meatballs, but also sausages or fishy-like products, or like minced meat. And of course, once again, everything is then based on mushrooms. So what we would like to get in touch with the meat processors and producers of vegetarian and vegan producers and food distribution networks to introduce our mushroom-based products. So this was my short presentation. Sorry for the video, and thank you very much for the attention.
Thank you very much, Frank. The first one is always the hardest to do. Maybe for the video, if you have a link, you can put it in the chat, because I've seen the video before and it's really interesting. So I really recommend everybody who's here to watch it. If you could put it in the chat, and then people can still watch the video separately.
Yeah, sure.
The next company up will be Meatable. Krijn, if you can start getting your slides so you can share them in a second. In the meantime, we do a quick poll, which you should be seeing now. What percentage of the proteins in Singapore will be animal-free in 10 years from now? So that would be in 2030. What does everybody think? Well, it's actually nice, quite nicely spread at the moment. Okay, I'm going to end the poll now just for opportunistic reasons, because I think that all the companies that are pitching are going to be very happy with the result. According to the audience that we have now, it should be between 10 and 30%. I think that's much, much higher than it currently is. So with that, I hope that Krijn is ready for his presentation. Krijn, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Robin. One sec, let me share my screen. You see my screen?
Yes, we do.
Okay. First of all, thanks for having me. I'm always excited to talk about Meatable, and also very excited to extend the connection with Singapore, which, and I'll get to that in a bit, has a very special role, I think, or potential very special role in the cultivated meat space, which we're active in. So I'll tell you a little bit about the concept of what we're doing, because it might be new to some people, and then tell a little bit about our plans and what we're looking for. And on the highest level, that's why I have this slide, is that we talk about a new natural. And I think it encompasses a lot of the stuff that the previous speakers have discussed. It's all about, hey, we understand that what we saw as natural may be actually not that natural if you redefine on what natural is. For example, we deforest the Amazon to grow soy to feed to our animals, which we then eat. Well, and then we still feel that meat is natural, but is that really the case? So I think we also want to start that discussion. So that's why we are talking about a new natural that I think everybody or all the companies in this panel are thinking about. And then the problem, probably known to many of you, but I always think it's important to reiterate it, because in my mind you cannot hear it enough. I always start with the right-hand side, with the animals, because I think for me that really explains the other three. So if you think that we raise and slaughter 60 billion land animals every year, so basically on every human, 10 animals are slaughtered. And I think if you realize that, it's not surprising that it has such a big effect on our planet, and that 1/3 of the planet's arable land is used to feed livestock. It's the biggest greenhouse gas emitter, and more than half of all antibiotics are used in the livestock farming. So that's obviously not sustainable, and that's why we say we need a new natural. And we then do that, and that is our mission, that we want to satisfy the world's appetite for meat without harming people, animals, or the planet. And we do that by developing, producing, and marketing cultivated meat. So there's a couple of things here. We believe that meat is here to stay. I think one of the speakers already said it. Food is extremely culturally driven. And I think even though we might rationally say, hey, we should move away from meat, we believe it's not going to happen. And instead of telling people, hey, you cannot do this, let's find alternatives. And then on a very high level, how does it work? So we have a cell bank of really the best cells of, in our case, pigs and cows. Then we use a bioreactor, for example, where you also can do yeast fermentation. And we multiply the cells. So if you make them feel comfortable and you give them the amino acids to start dividing themselves, you create the biomass. And then the next step is to make of those cells, make meat, so fat and muscle tissue. And basically from then on, you can just plug it into the existing supply chain. Then there's always the question on, hey, how does it now work with plant-based versus cultivated meat? And we believe that there's a spectrum of options, where also the previous speaker, fungi, has a role, because we see that it's a huge success, plant-based, but there are some questions on full market potential, also given around sort of the high processed nature of those meats, and that's why we believe that there's a role for cultivated meat to play, essentially. The market opportunity, obviously, this is always a slide that I think the investors especially are interested in. What I always say, so if you add up the markets that Airbnb, Uber, and Spotify have disrupted, you are still not at the size of the opportunity that we have as meat replacement, which is pretty significant. And then a little bit about us, about our mission, what we're planning to do. So being the global leader in sustainably and efficiently produced meat, again, that's about why sort of Singapore can be a very interesting stepping stone into Asia, where there is indeed a lot of appetite for new food solutions. We want to bring cultivated meat to market by 2023, have commercial scale production by 2025, and by 2027 be a global leader of sustainably produced meat. And then maybe I'll skip this one and I'll quickly go to what we are open for, what we're interested in. Obviously, always investors. It's a capital intensive proposition, but I think we're moving from just capital really to who can support us with the next phase of R&D and growth. So especially investors with food, biotech, industrial scale-up and commercialization expertise. Obviously also potential partners and research groups in those same fields on the research groups, cell line development, scaling up, tissue engineering, those type of things. And then also very interested in public-private partnerships, because I think we need those to really get things off the ground as fast as we can and achieve the impact that we want. And then this is my email address, which I'll keep up there for a couple of seconds if you want to learn a little bit more. That was it on my end. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much, Krijn. I think it's incredibly interesting what you guys are doing. I think when we met first time, you told me it was going to take 1 or 2 more years before I can actually order some meat from you, right?
That's the plan, indeed. That's the plan. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Well, I'm going to be one of your first customers if I can, and if it's going to be available in Singapore.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear.
With that, I like to switch to Protifarm. Tom Mohrmann is going to pitch that. Tom and his company, they produce insect-based nutrients. I read on their website that insects are the most efficient way of producing nutrients, and how that works in practice, he will explain during his pitch. Tom, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for this introduction. I will also share my screen. Well, I hope this is visible.
Yes.
Is it, Robin?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay, well, hello everybody. My name is Tom Mohrmann, and I'm representing Protifarm. Protifarm is an agri-tech scale-up, and we're riding the wave of this ongoing increasing demand for more sustainable but also nutritious food. We heard that in the previous presentations as well, of course. And we all know that we need to start eating more effectively. We've heard that earlier today, but we need to start doing that today and not in 10 years. And we know why, because climate change is a reality and action is needed sooner than we thought. And the current moment represents the opportunity to create a new global protein system for sustainable, nutritious, and equitable food supply. And the problems in the world are reflected by younger generations, and they're striving for healthier food that is sustainably produced. And that's not a trend. That is a disruptive change that is here to stay. And I proudly present to you today Adelbo Pro, the world's first functional ingredient line made from insects. Because at Protifarm, we believe we can feed the world without further consuming the earth. And insects are a great solution, because insects can be raised on just a tiny fraction of the land, water, and feed compared to conventional cattle. But talking about insects, people always talk about protein. But insects are so much more. They're nutritious powerhouses. They're containing proteins, vitamins, minerals, fibers, and healthy fats. In our fully automated breeding and rearing facility in the Netherlands, based on vertical farming techniques and distinguishing patented processing techniques, our insect larvae are converted into sustainable, high-quality, functional food ingredients. But the important question always remains, how do you make mainstream food out of insects? Well, as I showed you earlier, our approach is realistic, simple, but most of all, very effective. Because we bring down consumer barriers by producing recognizable, functional ingredients for the food industry that can result in everyday recipes. And that's what Adelbo Pro is about. It's nothing else than what we do to traditional livestock or plant-based alternatives. We just unlock the magical nutrition inside the insect, but transform that into something that can be used by the food industry. And our ingredient range offers technical functionalities like texture, binding, solubility. And by that, Adalba Pro offers tailor-made solutions for the food industry in bakery, savory, beverages, meat alternatives, and anything else you can imagine. Our ingredients already find their way to the market in many, many applications throughout mainly Europe today. And we have a novel food file soon to be approved, but also very important news that scientific research shows that we are on par with milk protein, and that will open markets and further accelerate demand for our great solution, because it results in a proposition that delivers the best of both worlds. We supply the highest quality protein on the sustainability level, or even better than plant-based alternatives. And Protifarm's current plant in the Netherlands is just a showcase, and it forms the basis for an international rollout, by which we accelerate our impact based on our strong IP. And I would just like to invite companies throughout the world, and today, especially in Singapore, looking into the other countries in Asia, and I would like to invite you to join us in our journey to feed the world without further consuming the earth. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Tom, for this presentation. It was very interesting. I wasn't aware your product was already in so many products that you were showing on the slides. Do you know, is any of your customers already active in Asia or in Singapore right now that you know of?
No, not our current ingredients are not yet being used in any of the markets, but I can promise you that some exciting product development as we speak is happening in several countries. So we're looking forward to see those introductions coming to market.
Cool. And for everybody who's in the audience, that's very much also the purpose of the mission and of this event today. If you happen to be working in a company that is interested in products like this, in the companies that are presenting themselves and work together with them, make sure to let us know. There's going to be a follow-up event on the 24th of November, exactly to make those business partnerships happening.
I see a question coming in. Can I answer that one?
Sorry?
I see a question coming in. Can I answer that one?
Yeah, I was going to ask if anybody can answer it because I can't. Yes, please do.
Okay, the question is, do you pretend to franchise to other countries? Yes, we do. And I think Frank as well showed in the previous presentations that how big how big the market opportunity is. So yes, we're expanding. We are already building a second plant in partnership in Europe. But that is our model looking forward, especially our strong knowledge in breeding technology. It is something we're looking for partners that want to grow and process insects into valuable food ingredients. So yes, we pretend to franchise to other countries.
We have a little bit of time for another question. Is anybody else having a question specifically about the pitch just now from Tom? Nicholas, how would you compare plant-based proteins and insect-based proteins in food products in terms of taste and nutrition? Interesting question.
Well, I slightly try to touch upon that, but first of all, in terms of taste, we strongly believe that there's over 2,000 different insects in the world that can be consumed by human beings. And it's of course important that you can breed an insect on large scale, otherwise it will never turn into affordable food. But we've chosen an insect that has a very neutral, mild flavor profile, and that's very important. As you might all be aware, the food industry loves products that hardly have any taste. So first of all, we deliver on that. That means that that in taste, a lot of taste can be added as well, which makes it very interesting. And on nutrition, it is so interesting because if you just as I explained, we can scientifically prove that we are on par with milk protein in protein quality and digestibility. We've done so via in vivo studies. But it's, as I explained earlier, it's so much more. And if you compare that to plant-based alternative, if you add insect protein or insect nutrition, you add so much more. You add minerals, you add vitamins, you add the healthy fat structure. So you don't need to add so many other things. And that is, of course, what the sustainability discussion is also about today. How much processing is involved and how many other ingredients do I need to add to that single component to deliver upon a nutritious food?
Very clear. Thank you very much, Tom, for your pitch. We're going to continue to Kim from Bone in a second. In the meantime, Kim, while you get your slides, I'm launching a quick poll again related to the pitch Tom just did for us. The question is, do you think insect protein will be accepted by consumers in Asia? Well, fortunately, nobody has. Everybody now knows what insect protein are. Otherwise, you didn't listen just now. Yes, if consumers don't know, so that probably means that it needs to be disguised with, which isn't an issue at all. We just learned. No, okay, so a few people are still skeptical. Well, a little bit of pitching and marketing and sales work to do for that. With that, I like to go to bone, which is the Dutch word for pea. Is that 100% correct? Actually, I'm not sure. I thought pea is only the green ones, but I'm not sure. So the English name of the company is Peasy. The Dutch name is Bone. It's going to be presented by Kim. I saw on their website, they're actually making a little bread that in Singapore we call bao, but in the Netherlands, for some reason, we call it bapao. Maybe Kim can also explain why that difference is. Kim, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Good morning, good afternoon. I'll share my screen with you. Let's see. So as Robin introduced me already, I'm Kim Luu. I'm trade marketeer at Peasy and representing Peasy. Peasy is a bean and peas based company, and we make alternatives based on this. As we are almost ending the year, we look back on 2020 for sure as a remarkable year in which a lot of things has happened. Some topics have been a little bit more on top of our minds than others, and I can for sure tell that being healthy and having a healthy lifestyle is one of the things which is pretty much on top of mind for me. So when we look back at the years before, being healthy was always a little bit the goal. We have beginning of the year when we started January, and then later on it faded a little bit away. But I can see as well the development now that healthy has really become more of a lifestyle and has gained really more traction during COVID-19, where we see that more people are paying attention towards their general health and want to see how they can influence that, as there are a lot of things beyond our control, but a lot of things which we do still have in control, which is of course staying active, but eating as well, maybe a little bit healthier to boost the immune system. So a lot of people see food as a medicine. So how can we use the food we have to boost our immune system and make sure that we stay healthy? So what we see is that a lot of people are doing food swaps. So we go more for healthier alternatives, plant-based alternatives, instead of, for example, dairy or meat. And we can do that every moment of the day. So it could be during breakfast, during lunch, dinner, or in between. Beans and peas are actually really the ultimate food swap, because even though these are like tiny beans, they are really fully packed with protein, fibers, slow carbohydrates. They're pretty much low in sodium and fats, rich in antioxidants, vitamins and minerals, and a pretty good source of calcium and magnesium. So all these things are pretty good for people, but besides that, they're pretty good for planet as well. We at Peasy, we are the experts in beans and peas. So we are founded in 2015 with the mission to feed the people and planet with beans and peas. And we want to do that by inspiring people with delicious, healthy, innovative bean-based products which fit into the healthy lifestyle of today. And the goal is really to make beans and peas the hero again of every meal. As Robin introduced already, we are currently already active in the Dutch market with our local brand Boon, where we are the fastest growing startup since we launched in 2016 in the biggest supermarket, Albert Heijn. Since then, our sales have doubled every year. As you can see a little bit below, these are some retailers we are currently have our products laying in the supermarkets. And in the meantime, we are active as well in multiple categories. We inspire the Netherlands with our local brand Boom, but we want to inspire the rest of the world with our international brand Peasy. Peasy is really a simple and transparent brand. As we see now, a lot of brands are hopping on this trend, and for the consumers, it's sometimes pretty much overwhelming what kind of offer there is and what they can expect of brands. So some products are vegan, some products are vegetarian, some products are soybean based, some products are different types of beans based. So we really want to be clear to the consumer and have a clear positioning. And that is why our products are always vegan, always based on beans which are non-soy based, and always come with surprising products which fit into your new lifestyle. So we want to address this, make the food swaps a little bit easier by having a super wide portfolio. So one of the lines is the meat successors. So you can use this as part of your dining, and it exists out of burgers, balls, and nuggets, and tempeh as well. And these meat successes can either be sold fresh or frozen. And these products are already developed and ready to sell. Furthermore, we have ready-to-eat meals. So these meals are filled with beans and peas on a nice recipe, which you can add to, for example, tacos, wraps, or with rice. And it's pretty much really easy to prepare. So you only have to heat it up in 2 minutes. And these products can be sold in the ambient aisle, but as well in the chilled shelf. So these products are as well already developed and pretty much ready to go. And in the end, this is what Robin was talking about. Paus, bappaus, steam buns, call it however you want. It's a nice in-between snack with a little bit bread, which has a filling of beans and peas, which you can heat up in 1 minute and can be either sold as fresh or frozen. These ones are now in development phase and in the final stage of development. So with this wide portfolio, we really want to make it easier for people to choose for a plant-based and healthier alternative. So we're really looking for partners in Singapore, which can be distributors or retailers who are preferably active in food retail. So we really want to make it easy for everyone to choose for healthier alternatives, and we hope that we can make it happen in Singapore with your help as well. So if you are interested, you can contact me on the contact details below, or have a chat with me during the investor dating, speed dating.
Thank you very much, Kim. If anybody has questions, please put them in the Q&A. We still have a few minutes. Just out of curiosity, what is your most popular product right now in the Netherlands? Like, what is everybody eating?
The chili bean-based burger. That is our best-selling product.
That should have a good run in Singapore as well, right?
A little bit spices always make it a little bit more interesting, I would say.
Exactly. Let me see. We have a question. Why do you exclude soy, which is technically a bean?
Yes, that is a very good question. That is a choice we made as a soybean. I think that one of the other panelists mentioned it before already, is a crop which has been used for a lot of things already. So it's been used to feed animals, it's been used for biofuel. So it is a crop which has been used and is being used more and more, which is not always the most sustainable option. So we prefer to look for alternatives which might be a little bit more sustainable as well. And the fact that I'm a good ambassador, I am soy intolerant. So a lot of products which are meat replacers right now or are plant-based, I cannot eat. So like, I think maybe 75 to 80% of the products which are now on the market, I cannot eat. So that means that I have to be a little bit more creative. Luckily, there are some brands and companies as well who are seeing this opportunity as well and want to be more inclusive so that I can make a better choice as well.
Okay, that's a very good reason also.
Yeah.
So that answers the question. By the way, on the chat, somebody is mentioning that apparently Boontjes is also a name in Malaysia and Indonesia and Singapore that would work. So maybe the marketing team can reconsider changing it to Beefy or not.
I will take it. I will take it with me.
Is there any more questions? We have time for one more. Okay. We're almost at the end of the time. So if you want to talk further with Kim and your investor, make sure that you register for the speed dating later on or for the business partnering on the 24th. Kim, thank you very much. I'm now going to the pitch from Mozambique. It's a pitch done by Tim van Rijt, but it's via video. So give me 1 second to share that on my screen. Tim, take it away.
Hi everyone, my name is Tim. I'm Chief Business Officer at Mozambique. Thank you for having me. Let me pull up my slides for a sec. There we go. So at Mozambique, we are pioneering a cleaner, kinder way to make real beef. So what that means in practice is the burger that you see on this slide has been grown directly from the cells of a cow. It means the same delicious beef, better for the planet, safer to eat, but no animal harmed. Our founder, Professor Mark Post, introduced cultured meat to the world in 2013. And this proof of concept here famously cost 250,000 euros to make. It was funded by Sergey Brin, co-founder of Google. And why did he introduce it? Well, we spend $1 trillion each year to eat meat, and that number will grow. Roughly another 400 billion is expected to be added in the next decades. And this is not something we can sustain due to emissions, land and water use, antibiotics overuse. We also see that consumers are not giving up meat. So they are aware of the downsides, they want to change, but meat consumption is not going down. So at Mozambique, we rethink the process of meat consumption, not the behavior. We do it by cultivating beef, by taking a tiny beef sample the size of a sesame seed from a cow, and we then mimic the natural environment of the cells in this sample, and they can grow into 80,000 hamburgers. And the cow lives happily ever after. With that kind of multiplication, theoretically, we could satisfy the world's appetite for meat with only 150 cows instead of the 1.5 billion currently roaming the planet. So we, with our scientific experience, we're leading the field. This means, for example, we don't need any genetic modifications to make this work, and we are growing full tissue for the optimal functionality, taste, nutrition, instead of just growing loose cells. And this sets us up nicely to produce these ribeye steaks in the future. The majority of consumers is actually willing to try it, which is a very promising development for a product that's not even commercially available yet. It's trending up, and the strongest support is among younger people. With roughly 20 competitors globally, mostly concentrated in the US, Israel, and the Netherlands, we are well positioned to be a leading company in this space. And the projection is that cultured meat will serve roughly 10% of the meat market by 2030. And if we would be producing or licensing 2 million tons of beef by then, we would drive a significant reduction of greenhouse gas emissions and use of resources. We have a strong team. Maarten, our CEO, has led and sold category-leading companies. Mark and Peter, our founders, were behind the first burger in 2013 with a strong scientific and technical background. I bring commercial capabilities, and we have a very diverse team of 50 scientists and engineers at our pilot facility in Maastricht. So in 2013, when we first presented a cultured hamburger, it was funded by Sergey. Since then, we've hit crucial technical milestones and raised 9.5 million euros from strategic and mission-driven investors. And today we're getting ready to present a burger that can be produced at scale at an accessible price. And about a month ago, we raised $55 million as part of a larger funding round, which we're currently closing, to build an industrial production facility and work towards regulatory approval to start sales in 2023. Those burgers will initially be in the premium segment, but with scientific progress and economies of scale, we intend to ultimately serve the mass market. And we're confident that our cost of goods can be reduced, be competitive with conventional meat in the next few years. So if you're interested in partnering, being a seller, being a supplier, feel free to reach out to me directly. I'm happy to engage further and field any questions that you might have. Thanks for the opportunity, and I hope we'll be in touch.
Thank you very much, Tim, for that presentation. For everybody who's based here in Singapore, basically this means that very soon we're going to be able to also get burgers, if it's up to Tim, from vending machines like we can currently already do with salmon and a whole lot of other stuff. Unfortunately, you can't ask questions right now because this was video, but the 24th, Tim is going to be there also, so make sure to join that. We're going to a quick poll, and then after that, we have another speaker again, Eugene Wang from Sophie's Bionutrients. The poll that we have for now, I'm launching it. Is cultured meat safe enough to go to the market already, in your opinion? Okay, that's very clear. Basically, if the government says yes, then the answer is yes, it's safe. I guess that kind of makes sense. We're in a similar situation for vaccines right now. So we trust the government to basically put a stamp of approval on it based on this poll. With that, we're going to a speaker from Singapore again, Eugene Wang. He knows everything about the food tech sector here in the region. He also, I saw on his website, has a very personal reason for why he started Sophie Bionutrients. I'm not sure if you're going to share about that, otherwise I will ask you later on. Eugene, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you. All right. Okay, you guys can all see my screen, I suppose, right?
Now we can.
All right, okay, great. So I do need to explain myself a little bit. I believe in the audience, there's a lot of people who still don't know who I am. Very briefly, I come from a family where we are 4th generation Buddhism, 3rd generation making plant meat, or In our term, we call vegetarian foods because some of our products do use eggs and whey protein, cow milk. But I started my journey because I found out my daughter, Sophie, is allergic to shellfish. And so, about 12 years ago, I decided to use my family technology to start a company in California called Sophie's Kitchen. Basically, we're trying to use all kinds of different scientific solutions to solve the problem that we have near our hand, and ended up coming here to Singapore to grow food grade protein from microalgae. In any sense, our mission is to find a way for people to enjoy the nutrients from the ocean without using the animals. So that's a little bit about me, and I got to explain, a little bit about my experiences coming here to Singapore to set up shop, setting up my business, and how I see Singapore going forward into the future, especially in the food and ag space. So the best things about Singapore is that it is right now a very, very mature startup nation. As you can see from these numbers, even though these numbers are not limited to just food and agriculture technology, but then as you can see that the government has been pushing really hard during the last decade to get more startups coming into being, and especially they are really inviting a lot of foreigners like myself to come to Singapore to set up their startup. And why they are doing so and why are we coming here, I'll explain it later. So basically the food and ag tech ecosystem here in Singapore, in my personal opinion, is getting busier and busier, and that's very, very good. You got accelerator, you got show organizers, event organizer, you got VCs, you got research institutes, government agency, all kinds of people are here in town already. And this is all thanks to the Congress mandate just announced last year, 30 by 30. So right now, only 10% of the foods that Singaporeans are eating are made here locally. And as you can imagine, a city less than the size of London with almost 6 million of population, growing food is really a big challenge. And so that's why the Congress mandate to produce 30% of foods by 2030, you have to understand, this is more than 3 times what we're producing right now at the moment, because people keep growing, keep eating more. And so this is really a critical challenge. So that's why, if you're setting up your business right here, the government will be very generous, to be quite honest with you, because they need all kinds of ideas in these critical focus areas, especially foods and agriculture. So a lot of these startups, I think, joining this event, you guys are the perfect target. You guys are the perfect ideal candidates for the government to give you a lot of support, not just monetarily, but in a lot of other ways, which you will need it. And so I think this is the best timing for any food and ag tech startup to come here to set up shop. And Singapore government, as you possibly know, is known for clean, for super efficiency, and for their wonderful vision. They are great people to work with. And the legal system here is largely following British common law, so you can be sure there will be no surprise like the Ant Group IPO just got delisted the other day, last week. This kind of thing, you can be sure that won't be happening here in Singapore. And people here, everyone speaks English, and that makes our life really a lot easier to accommodate to this new environment. And because of that, there is a lot of international conferences happening here. Now, we all know during this pandemic, this is not likely to happen. But I guarantee you, after the pandemic, all the international conferences will coming back, and this will be an ideal location. Why? Because the airport is really super convenient and super, super pretty. And it just has a wonderful shopping center in it, so you can shop before you leave or after you come back. And so, Singapore, because of its geographic location and speaking English, it makes it easier for you to talk to investors from anywhere in the world. And don't forget, it is also a strategic location for all the Asian Pacific market. We're not just talking about Singapore, not just talking about Southeast Asia. It also includes Australia, New Zealand, which are wonderful markets for plant-based foods. And don't forget, China, Japan, and Korea, the future plant-based or alternative protein demanding market. These are great future markets you can tap into if you can be ready here in Singapore. And on top of that, talents are really easy to hire here. They have great, wonderful talents here for you to choose from, to work with. And if you still miss your home foods or you want any kind of foods from everywhere in the world, voila, you're coming to the right place. This is the place you can easily get foods from all over the world. And last but not least, I like it very much because I'm a swimmer. So you can do sunbathing all year round. So people like myself coming from the Northern Hemisphere, this is one of the add-on benefit for being here. But there is downside to it too, which I'll explain later. So the cons, real estate. It's really expensive. Too bloody expensive that my factory, the fermentation, microalgae fermentation factory that we're building, is almost identical to setting up one in UK or the US. It's nothing cheaper, and banking is another nightmare because of the control. I guess a lot of anti-washing, money laundering control. You have to sign a lot of forms, and they really carefully compare your signature. So just a slightly minute change, you will be asked to resign again, and the whole thing's got delayed. So the banking is really not what I'm used to when I was in California. And don't forget, the domestic market right here in Singapore is just too small. So you really have to target all the neighboring markets or even the global markets to test out your final finished products. Utility is also very expensive, and that's why cost of living is also very high. And this is about the weather again. Coming from California all year round, we got wonderful weather. Here in Singapore, you really have to get used to heat and humidity. Try not to put yourself in the tied up suit. You will be burned. So the verdict, I think Singapore, especially for food and ag tech startups, it is a wonderful, possibly the best place in the world to start your food and ag tech startup. Why? Like what we say in New York, if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. Singapore is a city-state that is so tiny. We don't have fresh water. We don't have enough space. And if we can grow tons of protein, tons of foods out of this place, I believe you can make it anywhere. Some agency, for you to know, if you're still in Netherlands, you possibly need to talk to EDB first. And then after you come into Singapore to set up your shop, Enterprise Singapore will be next point of contact. And of course, a lot of these agencies, you can talk to the Netherlands Embassy for more contact information. So that concludes my presentation. Welcome any questions from the audience, if there's any.
Thank you very much, Eugene, for that very concise overview of why you should set up in Singapore and what to look out for. We'll wait for a couple of questions to come in. While we do that, do you have any advice for the companies? A few of the startups that are pitching today, they are actively looking to maybe even set up a production facility here in Singapore. And as you already said, real estate is very expensive here. Do you have experience in what the best approach to something like that is for a foreign company?
Yeah, so we're lucky because we're fermenting microalgae from a bioreactor. And the purpose of doing so is to demonstrate that out of just 5,000 square feet, we can grow hundreds of tons of protein annually, good enough to supply tens of thousands of people every year. And so Singapore government is very generous, give us a wonderful deal to have a space in Science Park 2. And so a lot of the startups are participating in this event, or even for the investors, if you have a startup that is really green in their food and ag tech technology, don't be shy, talk to the government agency. They will give you a wonderful support because they need you, number one, and they need all kinds of ideas. Singapore is just too comfortable for new entrepreneurs to come online. They don't want to risk their own savings or career just to start another entrepreneurship or company. So the kind of people that are on this event, you guys are the perfect candidate. You have an idea. You have done something already. Coming to Singapore, the government and all the agency here will help you out a lot. And if you can make it here, like I said, just prove it right here. Take it to anywhere in the world. People will believe you.
Yeah, I think you already mentioned the embassy can help with this also. I remember when I moved to Singapore, I basically received an email with a lot of these institutions in, I think it was a 2-pager. And it's really relatively easy, even if you're new to Singapore, to figure out what institutions do what and what they can help on. Besides that, on the 24th and just after Eugene, we'll have IPI. They're always very helpful and willing to talk to you and help you figure it out.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I'm quickly checking the questions. I didn't see any other questions coming up. You mentioned being able to find all kinds of food in Singapore. We actually even have a Dutch snack bar in Singapore.
Really? Wow.
Wouter, you might want to talk to them because they don't have vegetarian options as far as I'm aware yet. But they do have frikandellen and croquetten. I think because of time, we're going to continue. Eugene, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
If anybody has more questions to him, just put them on the chat. With that, I'd like to continue to Miss Lynne Loh from IPI. IPI is the patenting office here in Singapore. It's part of Enterprise Singapore, which does a whole lot of things for the business community here in Singapore. And she is going to share more about how to protect your IP rights, all the knowledge that you have as a company, etc. Ms. Loh, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Robin, and thanks for the very interesting presentations by the companies. And Eugene has been spot on that the food and agri-tech is in high demand here for food security and sustainability in Singapore. And the Singapore government is playing an active role in bringing the innovative food technologies for the market here. So I'll be very excited to share more about IPI and how IPI's platforms can support your internationalization to Singapore and Asia through tech partnerships with the industry partners. So let me try to share my screen now. Okay, can everyone see it in full screen mode?
Yes, we can.
Okay, all right. So let me first start off by giving a short introduction about IPI. IPI was established in April 2011 by Singapore's Ministry of Trade and Industry to enable enterprises to grow their businesses through technology and innovation. So it's also a subsidiary of Enterprise Singapore, as mentioned by Eugene just now. So we work with enterprises to help them source for technologies locally and from overseas, as well as from the private and public sectors to facilitate tech partnerships to help companies bring new products and services to the market. So to put it simply, we are a technology matchmaker that connects the tech seekers with the tech providers. All right, so we are pretty diverse in the areas that we focus on in our technology matching efforts. So they range from ICT, personal healthcare, to food, manufacturing, and energy and environment, as well as materials and chemicals. As you can see, alternative protein comes high in the list of technologies that are demanded here by Singapore's industries. All right, some further elaboration on what Singapore companies are looking for where food and agri-tech is concerned. So Singapore companies are looking for natural ingredients that are shelf-stable and healthy for consumption, and sustainable and smart packaging is another area. Technologies to help extend the shelf life of food is something in demand by the industry. And last but not least, companies would also be keen on technologies for smart vertical farming that utilizes less land and producing high yield. All right, so next, let me elaborate on how IPI facilitates innovation partnerships. We offer several platforms ranging from personalized one-on-one engagements to the broad-based digital channels, as well as events to support the promotion of tech partnerships, which I'll elaborate further in my subsequent slides. All right, one of the key platforms is our Innovation Marketplace, a self-service digital platform that connects the tech providers and seekers to enable them to find technology collaboration opportunities through IPI's global network. It is free to sign up and post your partnership opportunity in the form of a technology offer or a technology need. But I'd like to highlight that this is not a buy-sell platform, as the type of opportunities that it features are those that are on they're focused towards tech commercialization, research, or co-development. And any expressions of interest received will be validated by our technology managers, where introductions will be made subsequently to you in making the connection. So as such, I would like to invite you to post your technology offers, which I feel that they're pretty interesting from the earlier pitches, right, onto our platform, and as well as subscribe to our tech alerts through our website, www.ipi-singapore.org. Okay, and I'd like to introduce also the Tech Expert platform. This is one of our recent initiatives to connect technical experts with companies that are seeking expertise from individuals to help them address their problem statements or tech challenges. So if you have an area of technical expertise that you like to offer or seeking an expertise, we'd like to invite you to make use of this platform. And IPI also provides an open innovation challenge platform to support corporates and Singapore government organizations in seeking innovative technologies from problem solvers. So to date, we have run a number of challenges already, and incidentally, our upcoming tech innovation event on the week of 7 December will be also featuring a number of problem statements from Singapore-based corporates in seeking problem solvers for co-innovation. So do also subscribe to our alerts to be informed of any new challenges that may be relevant for you. And on a one-on-one basis, our technology managers would also work with Singapore enterprises to support them in their technology scouting efforts and matching them with relevant providers. Of course, with the ultimate goal that the introductions could lead to partnership agreements in the form of licensing or R&D partnerships. And we are also active in organizing events to support our tech matching efforts. And many of our events have since been converted to virtual format, which now enables overseas participants to also easily join from across borders. And as mentioned earlier on, our annual flagship technology event, Tech Innovation, is going to take place on the week of 7 to 11 December, which is just next month. So it's an event for both our tech seekers and tech providers to connect and explore tech collaboration opportunities. All right, some further details about the event. It's going to be purely digital and held alongside the Singapore Week of Innovation and Technology, or SWITCH in short. And registration is already open, and we certainly welcome your participation as exhibitors to showcase and pitch your technologies, or as an attendee if you're looking for innovative technologies to commercialize. So this is the website that you can find further details, techinnovation.com.sg. And we also work with a global network of open innovation partners to identify innovative technologies to introduce to our Singapore companies. And one of which is the Enterprise Europe Network, or the EEN in short. It's the world's largest network for business and innovation partnership opportunities. And the Netherlands Embassy, Netherlands Innovation Network, and EN partners from Netherlands are partners that we work very closely with in promoting Singapore-Dutch tech partnerships. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank them for the warm support and great collaboration thus far. Okay, next, let me share with you some success stories that we have facilitated in the areas of food technology. So this one involves a partnership between two Singapore companies, Bounty Food and Day Food Plus Food, to incorporate light carbo technologies into buns, or the bapao, if I got it correctly, to reduce the rate of sugar released from the buns into the body. And another partnership here involves also 2 companies to create buns with a lower GI composition, but with the same taste and texture. So these are not being compromised in that sense. All right, so the others are in the areas of developing healthier and tasty snacks and producing longer shelf life freshly made smoothies. All right, so to wrap up, I would like to leave you our contact details. Feel free to reach us through our web form or our email address. I can also provide you my personal email address through the chat. And for anyone who's interested, feel free to get in touch with me over my email. I'll be happy to have a conversation with you. All right, thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Loh. We'll have a few minutes again for questions. So if anybody has a question, just type it into the Q&A. In the meantime, I have a question. I'm not sure if you would know the answer, or if you know who can help on that.
Okay,
in Europe at the moment, there's a discussion about if the products that are being presented today by the different startups, if they can be compared with regular meat. So a lot of the naming conventions, they cannot refer to the traditional meat products. Will these startups have similar issues here in Singapore, or do you know how they can figure out how to deal with things like that?
Okay, personally, I must confess that I do not have the information, but I believe probably the Singapore Food Agency might be able to advise. Yeah.
Okay.
But, nevertheless, I can bring it up to our technology manager who's responsible for food and find out whether or not she has any advice on this. I can get back to you separately on that.
Okay, that would be great. I'm pretty sure that most of the founders are really interested in how that's supposed to work here, because it's quite a big issue at the moment in Europe. Are people having questions specifically on the role of IPI in Singapore, how they can help, what they can do for you? Most of the audience is based here in Singapore, so I'm pretty sure that you already know the role of IPI. Okay, if not, we're going to continue to the next pitches. Ms. Loh, thank you very much for explaining. So we're going to come to the next block of pitches. We will have 5 different companies pitching again, like in the previous slot. They're all very different again. We'll have Fumi Ingredients by Corjan van den Berg as the first one. Then we go to Grow Together, which is pitched by Wouter Muis. Then we continue to Upprinting Food by founder Elzelinde van Doleweerd. Then Bjorn Burgers, that's very easy to understand by the name what it's going to be about, by Holger Breukink. And finally, Eevee Biotech by Linda Dijkshoorn. Corjan, if you can make sure to start finding your slides. And then the floor is yours, you can start to pitch. Yes, there you are.
All right. Everybody can see the presentation?
Yes, we can.
Okay, cool. So good afternoon, everybody. It's my pleasure to talk for the next 5 to 7 minutes or so about Fumi Ingredients. And Fumi Ingredients, we are a startup company from a little town in the Netherlands called Wang-CEO. And we have strong roots with the university that is also located there. We are a company that is developing next generation ingredients, and we do that using so-called single cell proteins, but a little bit more on that later. First, I'd like to talk about the real big problem that we are tackling right now, and that is egg whites. Maybe some of you are aware of it, but egg whites are truly everywhere. Whether you're buying vegetarian burgers, bakery products, sauces, you name it, it's an ingredient that is used all over the place. And the reason for that is that it's actually a beautiful ingredient. You can make foams, think of meringues, you can bind stuff together. It's very versatile. There's just this downside to it, and that is the fact that it has a huge environmental burden. So it has a very high carbon footprint. And this is really the driving force for us to start finding alternatives to it. So how do we go about this? Well, we use single cell proteins. And for those of you who don't know, these are just the average type of microbes that you can find. And actually our most preferred microbe that we like to work with is yeast. And what we do is we use these type of microbes and we start processing them. So we start extracting ingredients out of it. And we use really process technology. So we're not making GMOs or anything like this, just good old-fashioned process technology. So we break cells, we separate them, and we dry them. And we believe we are really world-leading experts in doing this. And it's also my pleasure to tell you that we are scaling up these technologies as we speak. And we're not doing this alone. We are working with AB InBev on this. And plans right now is to really scale this up in 2022, the end of 2022, and have the first factory operational that really utilizes brewer spent yeast from factories from AB InBev, and then starts making these beautiful ingredients out of it. So what we do is we take brewer spent yeast, we transform it into egg whites, and then basically end users can start using these ingredients in their products. So what does it do? Well, egg whites are used everywhere. So you can, for example, make pancakes. So here I made some beautiful pancakes at home where I replaced the eggs with our ingredients. But it's actually way more versatile than that. So you can also use it to make as a shining agent in bakery products. But to be honest, I think the most interesting aspect of our ingredient is that you can also make gels and you can bind stuff together. So here I made some meatballs. And what you see is that we replace really the binding agent, that is egg, and we replace it with our own, which is really a completely vegan alternative. And this is a very groundbreaking technology that basically everybody wants to get their hands on. So what are we looking for right now in Singapore and also I think the broader region? We have two questions for you as an audience. First off, we are looking to expand on this technology. So we have now proven this to yeast, but we also would like to start applying this technology to other microbes. So think of, for example, microalgae or bacteria or fungi. So any company out there that has a lot of these types of raw materials and is looking to upcycle them, call us, because I believe we can help you guys out. Second of all, I'm looking for brand owners that are really interested in going completely plant-based with their products and really cutting out the eggs from their value chains. So far, over 150 companies have already reached out to us with expressing real interest in getting the eggs out. But I believe we are probably overlooking a lot of applications because most of them are coming from Northwest Europe. And I don't think this is the full set of applications that we should consider. I think it's bigger. So I think, again, this is why we should also be looking at Singapore region, because I think there's a lot of interesting developments happening there as well. So thank you very much for listening. I'm looking forward to hear some questions from the audience, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Corjan, for your pitch and explaining how you can replace eggs in regular production processes. While we wait for a couple of questions to come in, I have a question which I debated when I was still brewing beer and you were referring to AB InBev. You mentioned that it's a vegan alternative. I've been in discussions that actually yeast is not considered to be vegan. Is there like a general opinion on this, or?
It's been an interesting to find out the definitions of what is vegan and what is not vegan. Apparently there's different classes of vegans, and I think the most extreme vegan only considers eating stuff that is grown using photosynthesis.
Okay.
So if that is your definition of vegan, then we are not vegan. However, if you look at what the vast majority of vegans consider to be vegan, then we are truly indeed vegan. And that means like institutes like PETA, they say, yeah, yeast is vegan. And I mean, if it's good enough for PETA, it's good enough for me.
Okay, well, I've never considered not to drink beer because of this, so don't worry.
Don't let that stop you.
But thank you for finally answering that question.
Robin, if I can add to that.
Yes, of course. I don't see on my screen who this is, but yes, of course.
Yeah, this is Tom, sorry. But I just want to, if you're asking this question on vegan, first of all, there's discussion, of course, on lifestyles, and which mostly is the fact that people have a vegan or vegetarian lifestyle. But don't forget, I just want to add, every person in the world eating plants eats thousands of bugs in a year. So everybody consumes meat. Sorry, if you like it or not, you're doing it every day.
Yeah, I think that viruses are living organisms too that we don't like to eat, but we do anyway. So
no, but back if you look at really the use of single cell proteins, also like world-renowned institutes such as the Good Food Institute, they say, look, this is vegan.
Yeah,
and that's good enough for me, really.
Okay. Does anybody have questions? I didn't see anything coming in yet. Okay, in that case, we're going to continue to the next pitch. Corjan, thank you very much for explaining Fumi ingredients and how you use algae to replace eggs. We're going to continue to grow together in a second with Wouter Muis, but I have a quick poll again in between, which I will launch. And the question is, would you prefer to eat animal-free food ingredients made up of microorganisms? Okay, it's actually funny because of the question I just asked. A few people are still answering no, I'm still eating a living creature. So we haven't convinced everybody yet about that point. But most of you would eat, so that looks very good for the future for Corjan and his company.
If you eat yogurt or cheese or anything like this, you're already consuming microorganisms. So don't worry about it, guys.
Actually, I made these answers, but actually I think a plant is a living creature too, in a way. Anyway, let's do a philosophy conference about that some other time. I'd like to switch to grow together with Wouter Muis. Wouter, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon. I will share my screen. You see it?
Not yet. Yes, it's coming now. Yes.
Perfect. The words of Eugene earlier sounds very familiar. I lived for 5 years in Singapore and also worked as an entrepreneur. So all the pros and cons are completely true. I still also remember the challenges with the banking, but overall it's a great place to live, to work, and to be an entrepreneur. Well, I think all the presentations also show that we have to change. When we want to survive this planet, we have to eat more healthy, more sustainable. At Grow, it's all about the oyster mushrooms. We grow them in a circular way. Oyster mushrooms are a great alternative for meat. And from these oyster mushrooms, we make delicious products, vegan, vegetarian, and blended, for both food service and retail. So I first will explain the Grow circular model. The planet is giving us coffee beans. We drink a lot of coffee, especially in the Netherlands, but all over the world. With Grow and our partners, we collect these coffee grounds from catering companies, hotels, restaurants, etc. We do that by current transport that's already done by wholesalers, so we don't use new transport. We use these coffee grounds as a base to grow the mushrooms, the oyster mushrooms. We can do that all year long. It takes 8 weeks to grow it. And yeah, on the right corner, you see these delicious, beautiful, versatile oyster mushrooms. Why are oyster mushrooms? You only need a bit of water and some ingredients like straw, coffee grounds, the seeds to grow the oyster mushrooms. Is much more sustainable than chicken, pork, and beef. And the taste and the structure is quite the same and has a lot of nutritional value. There's a lot of important vitamins, minerals, and in general, it's very healthy. Also now with the COVID corona situation, it's good for your immune system. So yeah, and of course, already a lot of people are eating mushrooms all over the world. We make all kinds of products from it, vegan, vegetarian, and flexitarian. Still the biggest market, both in Singapore, but especially in the Netherlands, eat meat. We also expect that a lot of people start to keep on eating meat, but also more and more people are open to vegetarian and finally vegan. So we have burgers, we have snacks like the typical Dutch mini croquettes, normal croquettes, but we also sell the mushrooms fresh to restaurants. We have bread rolls, chips, carpaccio, so a wide range of products all made of the oyster mushrooms. At the moment, we are also creating ready-to-eat meals for both retail and food service. So we keep on going with creating new products based on these mushrooms as the meat replacer. Let's start with blended. Blended is the pure mix of beef or chicken, could be both, and mushrooms. It looks like meat, it tastes like meat, but with the 50% less. So we try to create a food swap from the classic burger to less meat to more taste. It's much more healthy. In Europe, we get the Nutri-Score that shows how healthy a product is. All our blended products has a Nutri-Score A, so that's by far the most healthy. It has 50% less fat, less calories, it's high in protein and high in fiber. So it's much more healthy. It has the same taste or even better. The mushrooms make it more juicy, more tasty, and it's very sustainable. Because people eat 50% less meat, we reuse the coffee grounds. So at the end, we lower the CO2 footprint very significantly. 39% of the population in Singapore is already considered flexitarian or has a flexitarian diet. And in the Netherlands, that is 55% of the market. So it's a huge market all over the world. We make both pre-grilled products for it, frozen for the food service market, but also raw for retail, like burgers, sausages, chipolata, merkes, all kinds of products, flavors, name it, for both retail and food service. We also have a vegetarian range of products, and especially the oyster mushroom burger can be very interesting for Singapore because people like to eat mushrooms. It's made of the mushrooms. It has no soy. We don't use any soy in all of our products. We also don't use any flavor enhancers or numbers or etc. Just very pure ingredients. It's dairy free. It's healthy because it's low in fat, high in protein, high in fibers, but it's also very delicious, very juicy again. And I also saw a research that the biggest reason for Singaporeans is to consider a plant-based meat is due to health reasons. Well, this burger has both. It's delicious and healthy and sustainable. We also won several awards with it, for example, during the biggest food service summit here in the Netherlands. The results so far, well, we sell to all the big wholesalers in the Netherlands, Sligo, Lekkerland, Bidfood. These are all the biggest players in Netherlands, but some are also international, like Bidfood, Sligo, Macro. We also sell to all the big catering companies, restaurants, hotel chains, leisure chains. So we are very active in both food service and retail. However, in 2019, 85% of our revenue was still in food service and 50% in retail. This year it will be around 65% versus 35%. And next year we have the goal to have a revenue of 50% in food service, 30% retail, and 20% export, hopefully including Singapore. Our revenue doubled in 2018, also 2019. And the first quarter this year was also a very good quarter. We also doubled versus previous year, but yeah, then COVID, Corona started, a lot of restaurants, hotels had to be closed, etc. So yeah, it will be an okay year, but not great. But next year we expect we can double again versus 2019. Besides food service, we also started in retail last year. We sell several products to Jumbo. It's the second largest retailer of the Netherlands, Lidl, but also other retailers. And another important result is that we don't only try to create products with a good story, we try to also fasten the protein shift to more plant-based food, and we try to give a new purpose to coffee grounds. So in 2019, we collected 400,000 kilograms of coffee grounds and reused this. Why do we want to expand to Singapore? Well, more Singaporeans start to consuming plant-based, flexitarians. Mushrooms are very popular. I still remember the grocery stores. There's a wide range of all kinds of mushrooms that you can get. Also at the food courts, restaurants, people are very used to eat it. Same for Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, all the countries around. Like Eugene mentioned, the government support is great and they want to enhance local and circular production. Well, at Grow we believe in a circular way of consumption and production, so we also can help Singapore by offering that. It's very common to import frozen goods from all over the world, Europe, Australia, Japan. So for our products, it's also very easy to import it into Singapore. Yeah, it is the hub for Southeast Asia. So yeah, Singapore is a great test market and the price level is quite good. So yeah, we should be able to absorb the transportation cost because of the slightly higher margins. But yeah, after Singapore, we also want to expand to Southeast Asia. The business relations are good. And from my personal experience, yeah, I know several retailers, the Dutch government, the embassy, Association of Dutch Business People, the government agencies. So that's also, of course, a trigger why we want to go to Singapore. And people love to eat food, talk about food. Well, I think food is the most important topic in Singapore. Yeah, that's also helps. What is our roadmap for Singapore? We want to find the right partners for sales, like distributors, to import the products, to do the logistics, to do the customer service, to both retail and food service. We want to start selling with the burgers, the blended burger and the oyster mushroom burger as a start. We can start this by importing them. A year later, when the first year goes well, we also see possibilities to kick off the circular model in Singapore by finding a partner to collect the coffee grounds and use that for a local oyster mushroom farm. Because you have the humid, you just need a cold. Well, you can create it indoor in a farm. And then it should be very easy to grow the oyster mushrooms also in Singapore and start expanding from there. And that's also a good kickstart to expand in the region. So hopefully there are people in the room that want to become a partner. And if there are any questions, please contact me after this session or by email or phone. Thank you.
Wouter, thank you very much for your presentation of Grow Together. I think it was very clear. While I wait for any people who have questions, I have a question. I know you have a background in marketing, and I know that one of the things that a lot of marketing people do is kind of make a typical persona of their customers. You have been in the unique position that you have lived in Singapore and in the Netherlands. What is the typical consumer that is buying products from Grow Together in the Netherlands that would be a copy in Singapore?
Sorry, one more.
What would be your typical customer that you usually see in the Netherlands that you expect to attract in Singapore as well?
It's sort of two-sided. So, for example, the blended burger is sort of for a great big audience because it looks like meat, it tastes like meat. So it's It's for all the people that like to have a nice, delicious burger. So that's more wide. But for example, for the oyster mushroom burger, we still see that the younger audience, for example, between 20 and 35 years old, adapt these products a bit faster. So I would especially target on the people that are already eating Impossible. That's already very popular in Singapore, but as a more affordable alternative and made of pure ingredients. So that would be the first audience. But at the end, it's quite wide, quite broad.
Okay. I don't see other questions popping up yet, so I guess that means that your presentation was very clear. Like I said, make sure that you bring your variety of croquette and bitterball soon to Singapore as well. I know there's demand.
Yeah, so, and the snack bar, I remember. So
yeah, I'm trying to come up with the name too, but I blacked out for the moment. I'll tell you when I remember again.
Yeah.
Or maybe another Dutch person on the chat can put it in the chat.
Yeah, another thing is everyone likes to deep fry, so why not in the hawker centers and
True.
Yeah, too.
Yeah. Okay. Wouter, thank you very much. We're gonna switch now to Upprinting Food by Elzelinde. She's gonna show you how fantastic waste food can actually look when you do something really smart with it. Elzelinde, floor is yours.
Thank you. I will share my screen.
Yep. It's not shared yet. It is now.
Yes. Okay. I hope you can see it now.
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. And I will start. So I'm Elzelinde. I'm the founder of the startup Upprinting Food. And with Upprinting Food, we're focused on creating value from products that are otherwise often thrown away. And we do this with new technologies like 3D printing. So to start with food, over here you see a table with a lot of different kind of food products. And for me, these are kind of normal products. We see those daily in our local supermarket in the Netherlands. I don't know if you have the same kind of products in Singapore, but those kind of products over here on this table are normally thrown away. We pick them up at the local supermarket because they are thrown away. And I don't know why they are thrown away, because in my opinion, actually, they are still looking very good. And maybe you know why they are thrown away, but actually we can still do a lot with those kind of products instead of throwing it away. And maybe you think that is something we do in the Netherlands, and we do this in our local supermarkets here around my neighbor, but no, this is also something which is very important in Singapore. Like Eugene already told that a lot of food is imported, like 2 million tons of food is imported in Singapore. That's really a lot. But also 300,093 tons are lost. So that is 393 million kilograms of food that's just lost in Singapore. That's really a lot. Or maybe to bring it a little bit closer to you, in every house in Singapore, $191 of food is wasted every year. So in total, $254 million of food is wasted. So yes, also in Singapore, this is a huge topic we need to address. And that is also what we're looking at Upprinting Food. So now to start with what we are doing. So this is me, and in my hand I have a little cup over here, and this is printed, 3D printed from old bread together with leek and carrots. And over here you also see a 3D printer that's printing on the moment a flour made from actually bananas. So this kind of brown bananas together with carrots and old bread. And what we see is that when we change the appearance of the food, people start looking differently at it. So people start appreciating those kind of products again, because the appearance, it looks nice again. The flavor is still good, and actually when we bake it and dehydrate it, they cannot only eat it tomorrow, for example, but also after a few months. So this is what we are doing already, and this is also what we're doing in collaboration with a lot of high-end restaurants, with Michelin star restaurants. Over here, this is, for example, printed with rice and purple sweet potato. This is one of our pop-up dinners in China. And actually, we serve it there to people together with chefs. So we give workshops to chefs. We learn them how they can reduce their own waste, how they can create beautiful dining experience from the food they normally throw away. And doing this, they don't even only reduce their own waste, but they also inspire the guests to be creative with the food they normally throw away. So to reduce more food waste as a whole. And you see it over here. This was a dinner where Minister Amy Cor from Singapore came to us in a Michelin star restaurant in the Netherlands, where we see the Merlion, or also over here in a dining experience. So the first question to you is, we are looking for new high-end restaurants. We know there are a lot of Michelin star restaurants also in Singapore to collaborate with and to share this vision to reduce more waste in their restaurant. So that's the first challenge. But now I started with food waste. I started with food waste in the supermarket. So now there is a second challenge. And we see a trend in the Netherlands already that a lot of food waste is reduced by not throwing it away, but just selling it for cheaper prices. So we reduce food waste already. But we also see that the supermarkets cannot earn any money with it. So we have the vision, and we think that when we just can create our product on a large scale, then we not only can reduce waste, but we also can actually make money from that and upcycle the food. So the supermarkets can resell those products again in beautiful shapes with long shelf life. So we think this is an amazing opportunity, but also still a huge challenge. And that is why we need you. Because on the moment we can print like this, but we're aiming for printing like this. Like we want to create a new production process. So please join my table afterwards if you know amazing high-end restaurants that you think we can collaborate with, or if you want to join our challenge in upscaling this process and reducing more money and reducing more waste, which is otherwise thrown away. So thank you. This was my presentation.
Thank you very much, Elzelinde, for pitching what you do. While we wait for a couple of questions to come in, a question for me. At the moment, how long does it take for you to print something like you were showing on the screen? Is that a matter of minutes, seconds, hours? I've no idea. And how long will it be in the future? Do you have a projection on that already?
Like at the moment, it takes around 5 minutes to print one sample. However, like if you have multiple printers next to each other, you can already scale up this process, of course, and produce more. So we are looking also at large production, like for extrusion technologies, with which we can print more or extrude more at the same time, actually.
Okay, sorry, maybe a dumb question, but extrusion machines, what can you try to explain to me and to the other people what that means?
Certainly how the 3D printing technology works. Like I often compare it just with a piping bag. Because of the piping bag, you put pressure on the piping bag and then the puree comes out. And that is exactly what you're doing with 3D printing. You have a syringe with puree in it, you put pressure on it, and then the puree comes out. But then it's programmed, automated, so you can really create a nice figure, and every time the same figure. So if you have multiple of the same syringes next to each other, then you can also easily scale up this process.
Okay, I totally understand. I didn't get any questions coming in yet. I have another question because I have to ask. You showed that you printed something for the president, for the Singapore president when she came to the Netherlands. Just out of curiosity, how did you get involved with that?
Yeah, she just asked us, she had a visit to the Netherlands and if she could experience this 3D printed food, and that's why, well, we had dinner with her in one of the Michelin star restaurants we work with in the Netherlands.
Okay, that's a very cool story. So you already have a very good ambassador on this side of the planet.
Yes, indeed.
I don't see any other questions coming in, and we're very much on schedule at the moment. So I really want to thank you for your pitch. Elzelinde will also be joining later on for the investor speed dating, so you can ask her a lot more then. Before we go to the next pitch, which is by Bjorn Burgers, I have a quick poll that I had to do after this presentation. And that is, what matters most in food for you? I assume the list is not exhaustive, but I've tried to come up with a couple of options. Okay, my professor at university would have been very angry with me in the order how I put the questions, because that's probably why the number one also has the most votes. But it's clearly taste first, then how it's made, a few people, and time to prepare. Time to prepare, I'm quite surprised about. I don't know what everybody else's experience is in Singapore. One of the things that I have noticed since I live here is that there's very few ready-made meals in supermarkets. If you go to a supermarket in the Netherlands, you go to Albert Heijn, the first thing I think you see is the whole freezer with ready-made microwave meals. We don't have that yet in Singapore as far as I'm aware, or maybe I'm going to the wrong stores. So it's interesting that a lot of people say time to repair. Holger, I hope you're ready to do your pitch. We're now going to Bjorn Burgers. I think it's clear by the name what they're doing. Holger, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Well, yeah, we've been talking about 3-star restaurants. Bjorn Burgers is totally the opposite. It's very interesting to hear about all the alternative protein sources. But which restaurants are going to sell them? The funny survey taken a few months ago in the Netherlands shows that people are eating fewer meat at home, but the restaurants are selling 10% more meat. So apparently it's a very conservative business, and maybe Bjorn Burgers can change it. I'll share my screen. So my name is Holger. I'm the investor slash entrepreneur. I invest in startups myself, but I'm also the CEO and founder of Bjorn Burgers. Bjorn Burgers is the vegan fast food concept that aims to make quick vegan snacks accessible for a greater audience. The problem that we see is, even though we all know that it wouldn't hurt us to eat a little less meat, the impact of the meat industry on our environment is still very, very big. And even though there are more and more vegan restaurants, the availability of vegan fast food is still very low. In fact, if you would plot them into a chart, I've been doing that here, you would see that most of them fit in the upper right corner. That means that the host is, okay. Sorry. That means slow service and fine dining, not so many fast foods and cheap eats. So the solution that we have at Bjorn Burgers, there's obviously a gap in the fast service segment. Bjorn Burgers tries to fill that in by offering cheap vegan burgers in a fast service restaurant. So what we're talking about is a burger and some fries for $7.95. No long waiting time. You have your meal in 5 minutes. But we don't use any meats. Basically, think about McDonald's and Burger King, but then just without the meat. And we've been talking about halal. If you don't use any meats, mostly it's also halal as well. Does such a formula exist yet? No, it doesn't really. And is there a market for it? Yes, there is. During the past year, we tested this concept on the train station of Breda. The feedback is very promising. Within a few months, we were one of the best rated restaurants in Breda. And I'm not talking only about the vegetarian restaurants, but all of the restaurants. Right now, we're even the best rated restaurant in Breda in some segments. And last month, we expanded to Amsterdam, and we see similar results over here as well. Apparently, there's a big gap. Well, why do we think it would be a great idea to expand to Singapore? Well, And because of the markets, if you compare the Dutch markets and the Singaporean markets, you see that in the Netherlands, there are about 1 million vegetarians. 55% of the Dutch call themselves flexitarian. That means they don't eat meat every day of the week. And right now, we're the first real vegetarian fast food chain there is on a Dutch train station, and even almost in the whole of the Netherlands. The trends are that people tend to eat more and more outdoors. At least once a week, they order something. And burgers are the most popular dish in the Netherlands to order. The trend is that the meat consumption is under pressure, as we all know, because of the environmental damage. In Singapore, we got about 400,000 vegetarians, and 39% call themselves flexitarian. And we did some market research. There are some vegetarian burger joints, but only very few, similar as here in the Netherlands. And mostly they're more expensive and not as fast, as far as I'm informed. The trends are the same. Also, people in Singapore are eating more and more outside, and meat consumption is under great pressure. So is there money to be made with a full vegetarian fast food chain if you put Corona aside? Well, we learned that people are willing to pay more for a vegan burger on the train stations. And even though right now nobody's taking the train because of COVID, because 50% of the normal amount of commuters, we got 60% of the required turnover. And sure, Corona is really bad for the turnover, but it's great for learning new things. We learned that burgers can easily increase its turnover with 20% if you're offering delivery. So what's next? We will expand our restaurant to other cities and other train stations or high traffic locations in the Netherlands. We will focus even more on delivery. It could easily be a 30% extra turnover, and it's really convenient in case of another lockdown or maybe the next pandemic. And last but not least, we're trying to expand to other places. We developed in the past 3 years a really great franchise manual and outstanding recipes. 80% of everybody who tastes the burgers do not know that they're eating a vegetarian burger, and that costs a lot of time to develop such a recipe. So I think Beyond Burgers is franchise ready. Our team consists of Brandon, who's a chef with 12 years of experience. I'm the founder. I started up more than 15 companies, so helped them scale up as well. And we got a first franchisee in Amsterdam, who's also got a lot of experience in marketing and sales. So what we're looking for a local partner that can help us with the realization of a flagship store in Singapore. The first restaurant in Asia that can serve as a stepping stone to other countries in the region. Hopefully there's somebody watching who recognizes the potential of a vegan fast food burger chain and can help us start a restaurant in Singapore. If you want to get in touch, here you can see my email and my telephone number. And we already got a slight Singaporean touch because the ordering kiosk that you're seeing here, the design was made in Singapore already. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Holger, for that presentation. I think it was very clear. I have to read something out. I hope that Gabi is not going to be angry with me when I do, but I was literally typing this yesterday. Yes, of course, this is my last one for today. Need food now, smiley. I was sending this to Gabi and Sabine. Gabi replied, order hamburger, considering it, me, but there's no Impossible close to my house. Gabi, Deliveroo. And I reacted, Nola defeats the purpose of being sustainable. Why am I reading it out? I hope it's obvious. I think you're right on point with what you're trying to do with Beyond Burger. I think it's also a gap in the market here in Singapore, so I really hope it's going to work to find partners here. I have a question while we wait for other people to ask questions. In general, you already showed the graph, like a lot of these meat alternatives tend to be quite expensive relative to regular traditional food products. How do you manage to get it to such a low price point and sell it that way?
Our margins are still not what they should be. We're not big enough to get big discounts. Other companies, well, you could achieve it, but we have to grow. And in the future, the products will get less expensive. Meats, well, a meat burger costs 30 cents right now, and we still have to pay about 80 cents for our vegetarian option. And in the future, we expect the prices to go down. If you order more volume, and also with developments, with the Impossible Burger, Beyond Meats, developments go so fast that in a few years, we expect the prices to be similar.
Yeah, so what you're basically saying is the future price point of actually all of these products will become similar to what we're used to. It's just the size of the market that is currently relatively small.
Yeah, and right now we're profiting from the fact that people are willing to pay a little bit more money for a burger that's a bit better. So our buns are better than the ones you would find at McDonald's. They're really homemade. So people are willing to pay 25% extra. That's how we keep our margins right now.
Okay. I don't see questions coming in yet. Does anybody have a question? Then make sure to put it on the chat right now. How's the shop going in Amsterdam compared to the Breda one?
Yeah, great. Feedback is really good. There are a few in Amsterdam. There are a few vegan delivery joints, but the quality of the food is, well, the taste is not good enough. So they're selling it because it's vegan. There's no alternative. But taste-wise, there's really not a lot of competition. If you order a meat burger, you have the really good burgers and really bad burgers. But if you're talking about vegetarian and vegan burgers, well, I think one could win a lot there if they would focus more on the taste and have some real chefs looking into the recipes.
Okay.
So yeah, we're doing quite well.
Interesting. I actually expected, no offense, but I'm from North Holland. Expected to be North Holland to be a little bit ahead in this field compared to Breda, but you just debunked that. So, we didn't get more questions. Anybody who likes to learn more about Bjorn Burgers and likes to help him set up possibly a franchise here in Singapore, make sure to get in touch with him. We have his contacts. He's going to be there on the 24th again. Holger, thank you very much for your pitch. And with that, I like to go to the final pitch, which is by Linda Dijkshoorn. She asked me to start her pitch with a video, so give me a few seconds to start that in first. Her company is called EV Biotech.
The future of the chemical industry lies in the use of microorganisms and fermentation to create chemical compounds. But designing such organisms is costly, time-consuming, and unsustainable. Most strain engineering companies use processes based on trial and error and high throughput. Digital modeling can reduce all this work to a single computer, resulting in more efficiency, superior microorganisms, and less waste and energy consumption. EV Biotech's interdisciplinary team has developed a unique pipeline. Our modeling software takes all aspects of microbial strain development into account. We use it to devise the most ideal genetic changes with the highest compound yield. The system analyzes the best pathways from rich data sets, eliminating the time and effort required in a laboratory. Using this as our primary designing tool drives our innovation. This is why EV Biotech can create effective, high-producing microorganisms in a very short time span. We are EV Biotech, and we believe we are on the verge of a bio-based economy. Let us guide you on this revolutionary path to a more efficient and sustainable future.
Linda, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Lynne Dijkshoorn. I will try and share my screen with you to show you a little bit more information about EV Biotech. So we've heard a lot about different sources of protein, and we've heard a lot about how to make beautiful consumer products. But what we forget sometimes is that not all ingredients are protein. A lot of ingredients that are being used are look like this. They're molecules. They're chemically synthesized molecules. And this one, actually, everyone in the room will know. When people look at this, most people zone out, but everyone has a personal relationship with this particular flavor. It's vanilla, and in Holland we use it in our vanillevla, but lots of us will also know it from the Coca-Cola or sweet confectionery pastries. And vanilla comes from the vanilla orchid. But unfortunately, 99% of all the vanilla that is being produced in the world and being consumed in the world is chemically synthesized from crude earth oil. So that's a whole different side of sustainability, not the animal protein side, but actually the chemical side. So the story of Eugene really resonated with me, and also the one of Fumi Foods, because we use microorganisms. These little organisms are our heroes, and we train them, genetically train them to, sorry, there's a very big truck moving past my house making a lot of noise. We engineer them to be able to produce these molecules. So that means, yes, the microorganisms are GMO, but the product that you end up with, there is no trace left from this organism. So this is a product that we call GMO derived, but doesn't need a GMO label. So we engineer these microorganisms, and we found a better and faster way to do it. Usually from the publicized strains that are being made for ingredients, flavor ingredients, for example, it takes 10 years to go from idea to actually a strain in the industry. We have that time with our technology. So we use computational modeling to engineer these strains, but the computational modeling is not a silver bullet. It will not tell us exactly what to do, but it will tell us which 90% of the work we don't have to do. And that is a huge sustainability step in itself. Besides that, fermentation, as we know, is a carbon neutral method of making products and ingredients. So we don't just look at the organism, we look at how to grow it, what to feed the organism, and also how to get the flavor ingredient or materials ingredient, which I'm going to show you later, how you get that out in a way that is effective for clients, that is sustainable, and is an economically viable business case. So what we basically engineer and create is not a product for consumer, but production methods for businesses that sell to consumer product making companies. Our mission is to shift the chemical industry from petrochemical-based to bio-based, using our computational system and using the power of nature and biology to power our new chemical industry, making our chemical industry green. One of the reasons we think this is at least working in the Netherlands and is going to work in the Netherlands is that the chemical industry aims to be carbon neutral in Europe before 2050. And we think that our microorganisms are the solution. And if we want to reach that moment in time and be a part of that solution, we got to use the digital revolution and apply that to our biology. So what do we make at EV Biotech? Well, we make the vanilla, for example, but we also make biodegradable plastics. This example that you see here is a polyhydroxyalkanoate that if you throw away your packaging or wrapping, it will be biodegraded within 6 months in a midden heap. And here you see the microorganisms actually, producing this. All the little bubbles that you see in there is a microorganism producing this bioplastic. But we also have in-house strains for flavors, fragrances, and food additives. You can think of vitamins, you can think of ester type flavors like coconuts or these types of things, or terpenes in general. So let's go a bit further. We have a highly skilled and motivated team. Here you see 9 people, but we've grown in the meantime to 12. And with this team, we also offer the services to companies who want to use fermentation as a production method in their own business. So we supply the research and development and the creation of that strain for customers. We also have a huge background of scientists and business people to help us out while EV Biotech is growing. Right now, we're looking for customers, so people who would actually like to take on fermentation in their business, but also we're fundraising at the moment to grow even further and get our strains into the market. So thank you for your attention. And if you're interested, please check out our website. This is my email address, and I will be in the investors discussion at 11. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Linda. I have gone through your website and tried to come up with a lot of intelligent discussion questions, which was really hard as a public policy master. One question I saw about the biodegradable plastics that you're doing research into. Something I've always been wondering, and maybe that you are able to answer. I always understood that plastic ultimately is made from oil, which is a biological substance as well. For the new product that you're developing, is basically the whole process of making that very differently, or is it coming from an entirely different source?
It's coming from an entirely different source. So my microbes, I feed them sugar or sugar-based waste streams. And that's what they use as a carbon source to create the plastic. And the good thing about this biodegradable plastic is, you know, those potato starch bags, you know, they can't deal with water, they can't deal with heat. But PHA can, the polyhydroxyalkanoids. So you can make cups out of it that hot, boiling hot coffee, you know. But they can only be broken down enzymatically by the beautiful microorganisms and fungi that we use in our composting.
And do you have an idea by when you think this will be applicable in a large scale? Everybody who's currently watching here in Singapore knows that we have a huge problem here with plastic in the region. If you go to the beach here in Singapore, unless they just cleaned it up, it will be filled with plastic. Is this a solution that can become large scale very soon, or do we still have to wait for 20, 30 years?
Oh, no, not 20, 30 years. I think maybe more in the range of 5.
Okay.
But, you know, that also depends on how fast we get to work on this. So if there's any partners out there that are interested in this project, please let me know. Yeah. Because the biggest problem with the PHAs that you can get now on the market, they're already on the market, but they're chemically synthesized and the quality is not stable. But the beauty of biology is you can program it in such a way that it becomes stable. And then, you know, the people who actually have to press all the cups and the cutlery and the plates, they can deal with the material. And now they have a lot of waste because the batches are not of the same quality. And that's also a waste.
You just gave me ideas for companies that I will try to get for the 24th. Because this is a huge issue in Singapore. In Singapore, we have a lot of throwaway cups and cutlery, etc. I know a lot of F&Bs are looking for alternatives for that, but they are not stable, like you're explaining.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make them a viable solution if you're running a restaurant, basically.
No. You don't want your your guests to have their food falling on their laps.
Well, that's exactly sort of what's happening. So, I didn't see questions coming in. We have to continue with the program also because we have the investors coming in 25 minutes. Linda, thank you very much for your pitch. I'll see you again in about 30 minutes from now. And with that, I'd like to go to the final speaker of today. Her name is Ira van Eelen. She is very well known in the Netherlands in the sector of food technologies. She organizes a big event every year called CAT. And she asked me to start in a video first before she presents, so I will do that now. Oh, sorry.
We're celebrating the first ever Kind Earth Tech event in Amsterdam. it's a beautiful day and we're filled up with all kind of knowledge around cultured meat and plant-based meats and even sort of future protein made from air and landfills.
For me, the most interesting scientific breakthrough is the air proteins. The fact that Kiverdi, for example, can take an entire landfill and transform it into protein, amino acids, oil, fats, flavorings, biopolymers. So if there was a surprise, it's how close we are to the tipping point.
This event is a totally no-profit event and everybody here is a partner. There's no money being exchanged. The only thing that we actually exchange here is knowledge about what is possible in the sphere of alternative protein.
Because this is a content-rich and it's a relationship-rich conference.
We are a positive museum. We know that there are a lot of big challenges, but we also believe in the power of imagination and the will for people to adapt and change for the better. And events like this help us to sharpen our thoughts.
And having them talk together here and bringing them in a science museum like Nemo and now interacting, networking, that is one of the things that makes this one really special. So local and international interacting.
For us, we do believe that food is a very important element of a experience. So for us it was a fantastic option to become partner in this event and learn and see what's going on in the field. It's not a question of do you come back, the question is when will you come back?
Ira, you can already start. Give me a second to get your slide also.
Well, I'm not sure if everybody can hear me already, but these were the good old times when we could actually meet up.
Everybody can already see you. I'm getting the slide in a few seconds.
That's good. Well, thank you for the invitation to have me on here. The film you just saw was from our last event in Amsterdam. We would have had one this year, of course, and we also would have had one in Singapore. CAD is an organization that started in the Netherlands together with my friend Olivia Fox-Caban, who is in San Francisco. Together we founded this, but very early on we had a third partner who's actually based in Singapore. And most people in the world know me because of my father, and my father is Willem van Eelen. And you've heard some people talk about cultivated meat, and he started working on cultivated meat in the 1980s already. So when I was only 14 years old, I had to learn everything there was to learn at that moment around cultivated meat. And why I'm showing his picture is because this guy actually got an invitation of the Singapore government around 2000 already to come and work on cultivated meat in Singapore. So I know how forward thinking the Singapore government is. At the time, my father was simply too old to actually move to Singapore, but he really thought about it. And it's one of the things that I probably should have done, but I didn't do. He asked me, Ira, why don't you do this? Why don't you take this to Singapore? This was around 2000. And but I just had my son. I didn't do it. But I'm very happy that with Kat, I hopefully will see all of you in Singapore in August. We have a lot to discuss around cultivated meat again. You have some amazing startups around cultivated meat in Singapore. And if it is up to me, with some of them, I will also be working in the Netherlands. In the meantime, COVID is not very good at having live events around future food, around alternative proteins. So we will be hosting a digital event or a virtual event on the 20th of November. And I would like to invite all of you to be part of that. And maybe Robin can show a little graphic on how that actually looks, so that if you see anything coming around on social media, you can recognize it and maybe subscribe. And after that, I would love to see you all in Amsterdam or in Singapore. And probably because Singapore has been handling things so very well, I think we will see each other in Singapore before we see each other in Amsterdam. If there are any questions about the event, please ask them. And I think for food startups and for anybody interested in the future of food and alternative protein, please join us, ask us questions, or become a partner or a speaker. All of that is welcome. We just want to be a platform to make more people aware of what's going on in this field. Thank you very much for having me, and good luck to all the startups and all the speakers from here on.
Ira, thank you very much. I hope you have a great event, and when is it? 2 weeks from now, almost 20th of November. So everybody who's interested in that, make sure to join it. There's going to be a Singapore edition and Dutch edition. You can sort of follow the program 24 hours if you really want to. So make sure to check that out.
Yeah, thank you very much.
With that, we're going to go to the end of the program for everybody who's not joining the investor speed dating, but of course not before I thank everybody who made today possible. So you've heard their names come by already quite a few times. Gabi and Sabine from the Dutch Embassy. They started coming up with the idea for this digital food tech mission that this was the first part of today. Sabine and Gabi, very much thank you for letting us help you. I also really want to thank my team as always. They don't actually hear this because 2 of them are already gone to the next event to set it up for you. Darvis is still here and has been helping you on the chat and with any issues that you had. Guys, you're great, but you already know that. If you like what we're doing with the speed dating, like I mentioned before, we do that every month. We do that for startups that are raising funding. The next speed dating, our regular speed dating will be on November 26th, which is always on a Thursday. If you want to join that as an investor, just register through the event website that we have. If you want to join as a startup, make sure that you're a member on our platform, and then we'll make sure to invite you for that. And then finally, I want to do a short plug for ourselves. We've been nominated as one of the top venture builders here in Singapore. I don't think this is a like up-to-date screenshot, but we were really high up at number 1, 2, 3, or 4 or something. And there's a voting system behind it. Last year, we ended up being number 9 out of 253, which isn't bad for a small team like us. If you liked what we organized today and you want to support us, please vote for us and help us win this year. And with that, we have come to the end of the program. For everybody who's not going to join the investor speed dating, all the startups, all the Dutch startups, please make sure to join AirMeet. You have that link. Join it in about 15 minutes from now. Investors, the same if you're attending here. And everybody who really liked the pitches today and likes to collaborate with the companies that presented themselves, please make sure to also join on the 24th for the business partnering, so you can have good chats and see how you can start doing business together here in Singapore. Thank you very much, everybody. This was the end. I'm going to close this session very soon. I was just asked by my team to do like a quick wave on the screen, so I'll do that right now. See you, everybody, on the 24th.